Well, two opposing stories out of our coaches this week. John Longmire and the Swans fresh off a 92-point demolition at GMHBA Stadium, while Justin Longmuir and the Dockers failed to get it done at the MCG. They slipped to 10th on the ladder, their finals charge becoming that bit more difficult. But they're still alive, Robbo. Justin, John, welcome to AFL 360. COVID update off the top. Justin, are you staying in Melbourne or going home to Perth?
No, we're staying in Melbourne. It looks like we'll get to go home after the Hawthorn game, which will be nice. The Eagles are back there tomorrow, I think. So, yeah, we'll get back there next week.
How did you sleep on Saturday night?
No, it wasn't a good sleep, Robbo. Yeah, it was a disappointing game. One where we felt like we had our chances, but we were playing catch up all night, and that was really disappointing. So, yeah, there's a bit to work on.
So it's interesting because, I was just saying before, you had control of the game in the third quarter and it was out of the middle and there was so many things going right, but you just couldn't kick goals, and I was crying out, Matt Taberner, because he's such a good player. It just... When you're in the box like that, is there much manoeuvrability of swinging around your forward line, or is it so much locked already that you can't do much?
Well, it was locked a little bit. I mean, Fyfe's one guy that we can sort of swing a little bit. I think 10 minutes into the last quarter, we'd had 14 more inside 50s and 11 more scoring shots, but it was level on the scoreboard. So those nights are frustrating when you can't get bang for buck, but it just shows that we're doing plenty right. We're creating a lot more opportunities than we did last year. We're creating a lot more inside 50s. Our accuracy has been disappointing all year, and we haven't been able to get that reward for effort we deserve at times. So, we reviewed heavily our start today. Like, you can't go 28 points down on the road and just be chasing all night. That sort of builds the...
What was the determination?
Well, they started well. Their intensity was much better. Again, missed shots and a bit of poor ball use. I think their midfield started the game really well. Young De Koning did pretty well against Darcy. Yeah. Darcy turned the screws in the second and third quarter and gave our mids first use, and we got on top through the middle of the ground. But, yeah, we just can't give teams 28 points head start on the road. It just, you're playing catch-up all day, and it adds to the pressure of the game. We
don't often go into rooms into losers' rooms. We often go into the victorious rooms, and everyone's happy, and we just... Can you just give it an insight? Were the players absolutely gutted after this game, or was it not just another loss, but actually gutted that the 8 was there, you had the game, and you left it on the grass?
I'm not sure. They were really disappointed, and they were gutted, but the reasons, I'm not sure they were thinking about the 8. They were more thinking about the performance and the fact that we gave a head start and then didn't finish the game off like we would have liked to. I mean, they were devastated, and you can tell as a coach... and you feel the mood of the room pretty quickly when you see the players looking back here, and that's why today we reviewed the start, but we also tried to reinforce some of the positives and some of the things we're doing really well, because we're doing a lot right.
Are you an arm around the shoulder, bad luck boys, or describe yourself after a game like that?
Well, I try and read the room and read each individual. A couple got a bit of a clip, but always. In the heat of the moment, you give a clip, you always try and follow up and give some context to the clip. And I thought we lacked the evenness of contribution we had the week before against Collingwood, and a few guys were singled out for that. But that's because they've got high expectations of them as well, and they should have high expectations of themselves. And some of them are inexperienced players that are still finding their way in the game, and they're going to have their ups and downs, but they need to be guided into what they need to improve on and the areas for growth. What's happened with Michael Walters this season? We love watching him when he's at his best, but he just hasn't been as damaging as we know he can be. No, he hasn't. Clearly he's not playing as much midfield time as he did a couple of years ago. We've been giving opportunity to our young mids, and they've really grown and become sort of the engine room to our team. They've allowed us to dominate clearance, and they're doing a really good job in there. And Sonny's playing a little bit more of a forward line role. His performance hasn't been like he would expect, and he's got lofty expectations of himself, but he's really grown in terms of who he is as a leader and as a person around the club. And I think some of the beneficiaries of that are younger forward line players. Liam Henry's really come along in leaps and bounds, and that's because of the mentorship of Sonny. So we'll continue to look at areas where we can get him into the game and help him perform, because we want him playing better footy. But yeah, he's just going through a bit of a flat spot at the moment.
Justin, how are discussions going with Adam Chera? Surely you just take him down to the
questions.
Surely you just take him down to the OVH and say, why would you want to leave?
Well, I think he's got a sense of how cold it gets over here during the winter the last couple of weeks. So hopefully that...
Imagine if that's the reason he's saying, no, I'm not going over, it's cold.
Hopefully that rushes his decision-making. And, yeah, I mean, it's a talking point for us as a footy club and for the media. But I respect his decision-making time, and we've got to do that. Like, you know, he's a well-thought-out kid who will take his time to make a really important decision with his life and his career. So I'll respect that.
He played a really good game on the weekend. And sometimes with these young fellas, we've seen it before, the pressure of the media and your contract. It might get them down, but he was pretty good.
Yeah, he's done a really good job at masking the pressure. He's performing really well. His investment in his game and in his fellow teammates has been really strong. So I can't question that.
What about you've got a player, David Mundy, he's playing special footy this year. And again, I was talking about third quarter on the weekend. He was picking up your team and dragging them. How long do you envisage him playing for? Can he be a 400-game player?
Well, he could be. Yeah, and you know, you don't lose your skill or you don't lose your game sense. It actually grows as you get older. I think the thing that drives these players is just the motivation to be able to put in the work continuously for, you know, 15, 16 or 20 years in Sean Burgoyne's case. So that's still there with Dave. He's really driven to be a better footballer, a better leader. He's really invested in the younger group of mids that he's playing with at the moment. So as long as that's there, yeah, I can't see him retiring anytime soon.
Will you be offering him a new contract?
Yeah, I think negotiations are going to start soon. He definitely deserves to go around again in my eyes. The motivation's still there, yeah, from his side, so I don't see why not.
How much did you toss and turn whether to give him the year extension last year? Because it was a late signing.
No, it wasn't too much, to be honest. I just love having him around the club. I think he's a great leader. He's a great role model for our younger players. He imparts his experience on them. So, you know, even if he's not playing, just having him around the club is a benefit. So, yeah, it's win-win all around.
So in that case of a late fitness test just prior to the game, who has the final say? If the medicos tick him off, is it the player or the coach?
No, well... depends on how old and the experience of the player, I would say. You know, if it's Dave Mundy or Nat Fyfe, you probably err on the side of giving them the benefit. But
did he make that decision the week previous, Nat, that he wasn't going to wasn't able to get up? Yeah,
he had a large say in it. Yeah, he just didn't feel comfortable going 100% with his shoulder. You know, he thought if he got a knock on it early, it might not last, and another week would be beneficial. But the doctors weren't trying to talk him out of that decision, by the way. So it was a joint decision, but you sort of, the more experience the player, the more you lean on them because they know their body.
I just want to ask about the stand rule brought in by Steve Hawkins. Steve Hawkins announced he's going today. Do you think both has it been good for the game? And if you could make a change, would you suggest that the stand rule is given away inside 50 metres, shooting for goal?
Yeah, I don't mind that idea. I think the guy having a set shot for goal should be forced to kick over the mark, and sometimes it doesn't happen. So I don't mind that rule.
What about the rule generally? Have you been?
I think it's opened the game up. Well, it hasn't contributed to higher scoring, but it's contributed to more ball movement and a more open game. So yeah, I'm a believer in it.
We'll take it week by week, and if he's able to keep his training program up and we'll keep talking to him. You know, I think what Justin said before is absolutely right. You know, when you've got a player that's played so much footy, you rely upon how he's feeling and conversations with him more than anything. And he's got a pretty good feel.
If you're a betting man,
about 3 weeks.
About 3 weeks, I think.
Schedule him for a rest.